We
We are
are
live finally.
live.
Finally.
Well, welcome everybody to the Wealth and Wisdom Show. We've got a very special one today with Manus Moon. We're going to be talking to him in just a second. Before we get started, for everyone watching at home, I want to ask you a question that's been on my mind for quite a while. And it's something that, with each new earnings cycle and each new month that passes, seems to be more mainstream than just my little weird corner of the internet. And that is, are we watching one of the most important economic shifts in history, I would say, or just another tech bubble? That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking with Manus Moon. He is a writer here on Substack with me. He's a writer of Codex AI. Hopefully, I didn't just butcher that in front of everyone. Also, hello, Feed Your Mind. Thank you for joining us today. And
Thank you for having me.
Manus, why don't we hop right in? Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody, let people know who you are, what you do, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah, right. So, hi, my friends call me Manus. I'm a 22-year-old trying to figure out his life. I have my own publication named Codex AI, where I write about solving problems and building profitable solutions around it. The core philosophy of Codex AI is to solve your problem and build products around it so that other people who are facing the same problem can uh, can use your thing and you can make a little bit of extra income.
Which I got to be honest, everyone watching at home, if you're on Substack and you're curious, you got to go check out Codex AI because some of his thumbnails on these articles are like professional YouTube level thumbnails. Um,
Thank you. My pleasure, Tyler.
they look good. They look very good.
Yeah.
Let's So obviously one of the reasons I wanted you on the show is we talked a lot about AI, and specifically you wrote an article. It was either an article or it was a post about how AI wasn't really going to fundamentally change the world in the way that everyone thinks it will, which I think is something that is more true than people realize. I wish I could remember what it was. Um, which it's connected to some other things that are less let's say this, the reason why I think, and I'd love to hear your take on this too, Manus. The reason why we're probably going to be underwhelmed with the economic impacts of AI is because of things like the Javon's paradox and some other very kind of niche, probably some game theory as well, some very niche statistical and economic theories that the best way I can describe is that they're just weird. It's not like this is not something that's logical when you think through it. But for example,
Mhm.
for people at home, Javon's paradox simply says that when a new innovation comes to the market, to the economy,
Yeah.
as the price of labor falls, you tend to get more of whatever that labor is. Um, Kind of the horrible example, but it's a classic example. Two, I'll say. The first one is the cotton gin just before the Civil War. Eli Whitney created it with the expectation that it would make slavery obsolete in the United
Mhm.
States and other areas of the world, and ended up increasing the amount of slavery, especially in the southern states, because all of a sudden you had much more volume of cotton, so you needed more workers. Coal
Mhm.
mining is another thing. People thought that once you had different processes to mine cleaner coal, that you would see coal collapse and people would want less of it. But as new technology came online to make mining coal easier and more efficient, you actually got more people using coal as an energy source. Um, but let's hop back over to you for just a second, Manus. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your perspective on this whole AI changing the world narrative? Like, what are you thinking? Obviously, you use it a lot from just our conversations we've had. So why don't you share your thoughts with me? Tell me kind of what you're thinking on this.
So, Tyler, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. It will be. uh, I suddenly got into the interview mode. So okay. So coming coming back to the topic, I don't think it's an AI bubble. It's a it's a term coined by market. Uh, I believe it's a transitional phase where people are people are not thinking about how the works are going to change. Uh, AI is not going to replace their job, but AI will definitely replace them who are not using AI, first of all. And second one, the processes, how the work used to be done, it will be changed. So it's a transitional phase. And the marketing of this AI bubble has happened in such a way that everyone who don't know more about AI, they got scared. As we say in finance, history repeats. So it's just history repeating again. Nothing is going crazy. Everything will be fine. As when calculators came
Right.
in late 80s, there were protests by teachers, uh, protests by mathematicians, uh, for that they were opposing calculators. So they were saying don't let kids use calculator because it was, I guess, I can't remember the exact sentence, but the gist of it was they were reducing the brain power of students. So teachers were opposing AI. So similarly, in today's scenario, the layoffs are happening, the headcounts are reducing. That is not because of AI. When you see the careers page of like Lovable, that software code editors, they are still hiring for software developers.
Hmm.
Ah, so that's the basic point. Everyone should think that if AI could code their whole startup, then why are they hiring for software developers? Everything comes for fundamentals. Everyone has to see the fundamentals because when we go step by step, everyone will know how these things happen and how these things are circulating in the market. Uh, yeah, so I don't think it's a bubble. It's a transitional phase. People have to cover up with this. People have to learn new things. They
Hmm.
have to learn new ways to do their job. They have to experiment AI, how they are using, sorry, how they are using AI in their work. For example, next there are two people. One is using AI and other one is experimenting with AI. So the difference between them was, if say there's a one task, we have to go from A to B. From A to B, there are only one way. But the other person who is experimenting with AI, he will figure out a third way that will reach that point quickly, and that will help him reduce cost, reduce anxiety, reduce workload, whatever the main cause of it. So generally, it's a transitional phase. People have to learn new things and they have to evolve with time. Yeah,
No, I think that's fair. I am going to come back on you and push back on the bubble aspect of it when we get to
sure, sure.
Anthropic and OpenAI. But I would agree with you. I mean, I remember. So my father. It's funny that he and I ended up kind of liking the same things. Like me, his goal was to run his own hedge fund when he was in college, and
Mhm.
so he went and spent most of his undergrad doing stock research. And this was before the age of Bloomberg, by the way, for people at home. Bloomberg is the industry leading tool for stock research, has everything, right? He didn't have that. He went to the library for 2,000 hours of his life, right? I remember hearing from my professors and some other older people in the finance industry talking
Mhm.
about, specifically, it was Bloomberg, the Bloomberg terminal, which is the software they use, and Excel, kind of the spreadsheet softwares. People were losing their minds over that. Like the calculators, they were like, "This is going to destroy the economy for accountants," and which was just
Mhm.
absurd. Looking back on it now, but at the time, that's how they felt. By the way, valuable observations. I saw you join. Thank you. For anyone who joins these live shows, as always, if you have questions or comments, please put them in the messages and I will try to answer them. Um, I'm with you, though. I don't think AI is not going to be any different. I mean, yes. Full full disclosure. Beyond Abundance,
Mhm.
the software startup I helped build, and I'm still building. We are transitioning to a dark shop.
Mhm.
So we had a team of several developers that we are slowly weaning off of. We'll probably keep a couple around because, like you said, the people that are really going to succeed are shops that have some good developers on staff and
Yeah.
are using AI.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know about you, man. I'd actually like to hear your opinion on this, but recently, and we're already seeing this now. The reason why that's where this is going to go is it's a .com situation all over again. Just because this
Mhm.
new tool comes online doesn't mean you can leave behind all of the edge case and infrastructure pieces that you used in the past to keep your business running.
Mhm.
Pets.com didn't fail because it didn't have a good website. Pets.com failed because it was a ridiculous business
It's
model.
business model. Correct.
Um, and I personally, I've seen, and people have reached out to me for marketing, consulting services, etc. 9 times out of 10, Manus, when I go and I look at their stuff, when they're having like an issue of, oh, the website we built isn't converting people, or our brand isn't working.
Mhm.
You look at it and it's like you can pretty much pinpoint what was created by AI because it doesn't make any freaking sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It
People
looks
don't know shit about what they are making with AI. They just if they need a website, they just say I need a website for this pala XYZ, and they get a generalized template. They don't
no, for
know
sure.
what are the templates they are using, what are the things that are happening in the back end. They just go on with that saying we are AI powered. Just it's just that. Sorry to cut you. Please continue.
No, no, you're good. I'm gonna echo back to what Jay Samit told me on a podcast that we did together not too long ago. Whatever the new buzzword in goes in everybody's investment deck, pretty much every single time. When I first got really interested in private market transactions, which is what I'm leaning towards now, um, I was doing like VC classes, that kind of stuff. It was all blockchain. That was 2 years
Mhm.
ago. Everything was blockchain powered. Everything had a token, which there are still some in that there are still some legitimate businesses in like the Web3 space that have that. But before it was everything. It was stuff like, oh, we're building
Sorry, you are not audible, Tyler. Hello, hello.
anyway.
Yeah,
Um, let's is it okay if we pivot back towards Codex really quick?
yeah, sure, sure.
So
Please.
talk us through what Codex AI is, what it is you write about, like who's it, who are you trying to reach, what's it for? Just walk us.
So I started. So everyone watching, please subscribe to my newsletter. And Codex AI is basically a publication where I write about my own journey, the problems I solve in my daily life. Uh,
Hey, sorry, you might need to repeat that. Maybe internet just went out there for a second. I
yeah, no
apologize
worry,
everyone
no
who's
worry,
watching.
no worry. I said Codex AI is my publication where I write about solving problems and building profitable products around it, and how I came to this idea from my life. I used when I started this newsletter to teach how to learn to code. But in late 2022, when ChatGPT launched, I tried to learn. I tried to use it for learning and figure out some of the ways to learn to solve my doubts or some things. But I don't see anything. I don't see this thing going anywhere. So I pivoted it there too. project-based learning method where I was writing about how to learn web development, how to learn JavaScript, how to learn programming things, not through a lecture, but via doing a projects. Okay, so it was a it was kind of written tutorials, but it didn't work as well. So then in the 2 years, I learned where from 24 and 25, I learned that I have solved some of my personal problems, which are general problems like not getting any prompt to write in your journal, uh, getting overwhelmed by the work we have, not knowing which task to complete first, how to manage your plan. And so I create a chatbot that manages my all things that runs locally on my laptop. So uh, one of my friends said, "Why don't you share that on internet?" And I like writing, so I write. I almost write daily somewhere on other platform. Sometimes I write on Substack, sometimes I write on Threads, sometimes it's LinkedIn. And so I tried sharing that problem, and it worked. And it clicked to me also that if I am facing some problem in this whole world, there are almost some people who will be facing same problem. Why not help them? And if I can help them, then why not they can help themselves? So this is the newsletter is my newsletter is my so the newsletter is my thing that where I'm trying to attract solopreneurs and solo founders who are founders with small team who are trying to build products. The main so Substack didn't pay anything. So to monetizing this and sustaining this, I do outreach, and based on that outreach, I cold email, cold DM, cold call businesses which are making 6 figure, 7 figure a month, and try to solve some of their problems and building internal solutions for them. For example, recently I have solved I am working with a hiring agency, and not like a hiring agency, it's a company rebranding agency. So he don't have his systems on place. The
Right.
founder was getting confused time to time for what he is trying to do, what he needs to do and what not to do. So I set up a system that strategizes content, that give him regular content idea that he can publish, and everything that will be needed in his startup. So
Right.
and he want an internal tool that uh, that analyzes his competitors' LinkedIn profile and tell him which content type works best for him, and so currently I'm building that thing for him, and that is how I monetize this Substack. Codex AI thing. I don't have a platform right now because of some issue, and but it will be live soon, and everything will be shared in my newsletter publications. And yeah, so that's it. That's what Codex AI is for.
Perfect. Which I love that you, and I think we talked about this as well. Um, I love that you focused on your problems first because obviously
Mhm.
I'm not an exited founder, right? But I've been working in startups for years now. And one of the things that I've seen that makes the most successful businesses is that the founders were solving a problem that they had. And it may not have been like a life changing problem, but it was a problem. Even if it was simply as like,
Mm,
oh wow, it's really annoying to rent an apartment in downtown Los Angeles. That was the story of Airbnb. Or something like Instacart, where the founders were like, man, I really hate the fact that I have to go to the grocery store. Boom, Instacart. Every single major business, all of the stories that we've heard about, that's what they did. They had a problem that they were like, how can I fix this for me? And then when they're finished with that, that's when they start telling other people about it. That's when they go, oh man, I could really use that too. So I think
mhm.
that's really cool. Let's see here. And you mentioned you mentioned as well that you said you don't have a platform. Are you looking to like build out a like Codex AI as a brand, as its own business, or what do you mean by that? Because I would say Substack is
So
your platform, at least part of it.
no, Substack is a part of Codex AI. So my
Mm.
plan with the Codex AI is to build a community of 50,000 builders. Actually, to be specific, I want to build a community of 50,001 persons community. So it's a kind of, in India, it's kind of, we say it's a lucky kind of thing, plus one. So,
Right.
so I want to build that community. So, and I don't want it in a dead community. I want it active people who are constantly solving their problems and documenting their solution. So there are, we can't monetize all of our problems, but in 10 problems, we can at least monetize one. So that's the thing. So that's what I'm trying to build. And when I say I want to build a community, my plan is to go into angel investing. So the products they will make, I will look into it. If I like it, I will fund it. I will invest in it.
Okay.
So yeah, I want to. It's like a ladder. See, first I will solve my problem. I will help. I will tell people how to do that. I will build a community, and then I will invest in those products. So
Mhm.
I take this reference from Weekend Fund. There's a fund. If you want to check, you can go weekend.fund. And taking that reference, I am trying to build something like that. I'm still in my early phase. I don't have everything figured out, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's life. We don't have everything figured out. We figure it out on the way. And my
Yeah,
unfair
which
advantage is my age. I am just 22 years old, and it's okay to be little late or little early, but trying to do something with my life.
trust me, if you're 22 years old and that's your plan and you're making moves towards that, it's not too late. Dude, I'm almost 30 and it's like one of the things that people don't realize is that most people don't make it until after they're 30. So it's like you're early. I would say you're early, but I think that's super cool. There's always been a soft spot in my heart for angel and VC funding. Um, Especially overseas. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I have some people that I communicate with very closely, and it breaks my heart because they have an idea,
Mhm.
but unless they come they come to the EU or China or the US to a fancy university, VCs never find them. And then if
Mm,
VCs do find them, the chance that they actually invest in them is low. You know, and that makes me very, very sad. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a nationalist thing. Like I know some people could take that as, oh, the US and China are just trying to ruin the rest of the world. No, you
mhm,
have these other countries. India's getting up there. They're starting to get the
mm,
ball rolling. But I feel like a lot of countries around the world, they just don't have the capital infrastructure and they don't
mhm.
have the firms that are in there building that baseline. I mean, New York City and Silicon Valley, it took decades
Yeah,
to
it
get
took that.
them to,
It don't happen on first day.
yeah. Where I live is in the same boat. Like when I started kind of advising and being part of some of these private equity deals that I work on now. One of the things I learned very, very quickly is Utah, where I live, is in the same boat because of how it is and how young the business culture is. We don't really have large capital here either. Everyone just it all gets funneled into real estate because there's nothing else in town. That's changing, incidentally. And I think that's changing all over the world. And I think people like you are leading that charge because the more people we have that are willing to put their dice on the table and willing to go to these new ventures around the world and saying, I think you got something here, kid. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and let's see where we can go with this. It's building out a better future for the world. Hello, stock market intertrade. Thanks for joining the live show. Um, so I'm gonna dig in just a little bit deeper, just a little bit deeper. Did you always want to do this? Because this didn't come up in in the conversation that we had previously when we were planning this out. So was your plan always to kind of go down the angel or VC route, or
No,
walk me through that?
it was not my plan from the start. But as I had, I had love. I have light in investing. I invest regularly too, and and angel investing, private equity always fascinated me. How these things work, how they are making this, how they are making that. When I dig deeper into that, then I know that not every startup it works. If they invest in 10 startups, 9 will fail, one will make them profits. So that made me fascinating, and I have built almost 10 products for myself that I run locally and that solve particularly of my problem. Then a thought came to me. I was surfing the internet for my portfolio website. Then I found this weekend fund website, and I saw how they are doing that. Then I saw some other platform also, like in India there is WTF fund, the Nikhil Kamat's fund. So he also do the same. He has his fund that named Rain Matter Investing. Sorry, Rain Matter Fund or something. I'm
Mhm.
misinterpreting the name, but yeah. So they are investing in that. So they built India's largest stockbroker. They are Siroda is the India's largest stockbroker. Uh, I don't know exactly the largest, but it is definitely in the top three. So when I built products for myself, and I thought to teach people how to build that, and I had some business model, and I thought why not invest in that. So that's how I planned for now, and it's it will evolve. Eventually, it will evolve.
For
Maybe
sure,
it will be in
for sure.
consulting firm. It would be in, how to build more things, how to solve real problems, how to solve bigger problems. And because, as you mentioned, if you don't have a tag of which university or if you are not from Ivy League colleges, the VCs generally don't give us funding. And YC don't accept our application. They so that's the hard truth that we don't get anything if we don't have any big tag. In India also there is a university IIT.
Mhm.
If someone has IIT tag behind it, so they don't find any issue in finding anything. They can find in job instantly. They can find a partner instantly. They can find the love of their life instantly. If they want the money, they can find investors instantly only because of the IIT tag. So that's a prestigious college of India. That's the good thing of India. And I also tried to get into some of them, but I failed. And it's tough to get into those institutes. Yeah. So I that's it just came to me on one night that I should also be investing some of these things. So this is how I'm planning to do if when I get enough money, and this enough is never enough. So we will see how these things go.
Well, that's this is one of the, and this is a little bit more philosophical than it is connected to AI or markets. But one of the things that you have to, that I've learned both working at BA, but just kind of in my own life, is you kind of have to, as weird as it sounds, you can't let something be your God.
Mhm.
Especially if it's something like money or success. I personally think it's what leads to a lot of like it's what's led to a lot of the breakdowns and a lot of the mental health crises that we have in places like the EU and the United States. China is another one, Japan, South Korea, where you have the younger generations that are seriously struggling. And it's because they stopped chasing things that were meaningful. Um,
Mhm.
we're gonna one of the things that we talked about bringing up on this podcast, which we're gonna get to a second, actually is connected to that. But at some point, you just have to decide. Almost, you have to create an arbitrary limit. I feel like where you just say, "I'm done." Especially if you're talented enough where the world really rewards you for your work. You do have to get to a point where you just decide enough is enough. I know I don't need, I don't need to be a set I or what's it called? I don't need to be Anderson Horowitz. I don't need to be Bill Gates. I don't need that.
Mhm.
You know, I think you're, especially if this thing really rolls out for you, I think you're going to find some success personally. And maybe this is just my bull case for the world. I think, especially with the advancement of AI, we're going to get a lot more solopreneurs around the world, and they're going to
Mhm.
need funding for that,
Yeah.
because not everyone's going to be able to bootstrap. Uh,
Bootstrapping not always works also.
sorry, what was that?
Mm,
The last part?
I said, I said, bootstrapping don't work always.
No.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. That's the beauty and pros and cons of bootstrapping. If it worked, it take us to moon. But if it don't, it take us to death. Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you do have to, in my opinion, I'm running into this problem with two startups I'm working on, both BA and another a consulting firm that I'm helping to build.
Mm-hmm.
Ideas are great. It's super fun to have a really fun idea. Your goal is cash flow, frankly. I mean, if you want to get to like the Anthropics, or what's another good example of like a big unicorn company? If you want to be an open AI, if you want to be a Tesla, if you want to be a SpaceX, you actually have to get to revenue.
Yeah.
And
You have that. You have to be big. You can't
for
do that things and be small.
right, part of the thing, and part of one of the nice things I think from like a business perspective is if you have VC funding, um, you kind of have a prod behind you that's pushing you towards revenue. Sometimes people don't want that, but it does help because then you actually have seasoned operators going, no, you actually have to start making money at this. This isn't just a passion project. I mean, we're going to talk about this in a second. My biggest criticism with OpenAI is that they don't act like a company.
Mhm.
They act like a research project, like a college research project. Um, hello, Don Run Intelligence. Thank you for joining. They act like just, we're here just experimenting with AI, which is great. Now you have a whole bunch of people who gave you hundreds of millions of dollars who want their money back.
Mhm.
They weren't doing it out of charity. Maybe Elon Musk was, but the majority of those investors, Microsoft included, wants a return on their capital.
Yeah.
And so you actually have to have a business model now, Sam. I know that's a shocking thing, but you actually do need to start telling the world how you're going to make money at this. And like you said, that does bootstrapping fails for some people because of that. And building out a large network across the globe of small VC funds also helps solve that because it pushes you to revenue.
Mhm.
Um, can we Is it okay if we zoom back out from Codex AI and look at just AI in general?
Yeah. Sure.
Um,
Sure. Sure.
because you mentioned,
Mhm.
which seems to be what's on the bingo card for everyone who has a pulse check on this, I think, is that AI is not going to replace your jobs. It's people who know how to use AI better than you.
Yeah.
Um, walk me through kind of your thinking on that, and how do you see that kind of transition towards an AI supported economy? Like what do you how do you see that changing the world of work and changing how we run our businesses, for example?
Okay, see, so spiraling back to this thought, thought of AI is not going to replace your job, but the person using AI will. Is the my thinking behind that is they both are working. There are two people. They both are working for a company, and what a company wants is profit, or they want to solve a problem. They want money, or they want something that makes them more money. And if between two of them, if someone using AI and making them more money, they will definitely keep him and not him. But if the person who is using AI don't know how to make more money, because using AI is like playing with tokens. Uh, Once the tokens is finished, we hit rate limits, we get the AI hallucinates. It it don't gives us proper output. So that's the problematic thing for the company because that cost will be beared by company. And if that person is using AI wrong, it will cost more to the company. So that person is not good for that company. And the person who is not using AI, sometimes he will be good for the company, no doubt. But company wants money and thinks company profitable. They want to be profitable. They want to build money. They want to distribute salaries. They want to take money. They want to whatnot. So I believe the person who is using AI not will not always replace the person who is not using AI. Okay, so it's not it's not important that the person who is using AI will use it correctly. If you don't know what you are doing, you will not get the proper output. So before knowing that if you are going to be replaced or not, you have to know whether you are able to make more money to the company or more profit to the company. And this profit is not in monetary terms, but whatever that is, I mean, like less workload, better systems, better client management or anything. So that's why I wrote that thing that AI will not, and there are different people have different opinions for that sent. But this is my thinking for this statement I made. Yeah.
I think it's fair.
So,
If I
so
understood you correctly, go for it.
if I may ask, so
No, of course.
what
Go for it.
what what are your perspective when it comes to AI replacing jobs? Because I am from software background and you are
Mm.
from finance background, but also building in consulting, and you have more experience than me. Uh, so what are I haven't worked in corporate yet. You know how that structure works and how businesses run. What are your opinions on this?
Yeah, where I was actually I put this into the outline so we could talk about it because I think it's important. In my experience, and I'm still young, I don't have the 30 years of experience that some of these guys have that are talking about specifically the investment side, the valuation side. In my experience, AI is a decent tool.
Mhm.
And who knows, obviously AI agents are still a very young technology, but overall, I haven't been impressed with I guess I'll say this. I'm impressed with what it can do, but my skepticism was kind of rewarded and supported when I went and started actually playing around with it myself and seeing, okay, so everything that Sam Altman and Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and all these people were saying is a lie. It's not ready to, take over the entire job market. It's not at that point. Who knows? Maybe
Mhm.
it will be at someday in the future, but the best criticism but also explanation I can use for this is there's a company called Wall Street Prep. They are former investment bankers, former sell side and buy side analysts, former Wall Street, right? And they started a company to help people prepare to join Wall Street. And two of their leads were talking. They were on a podcast talking about AI. It was shortly after OpenAI announced that they wanted to go public this year. And they were fooling around with some of the AI models and some of the AI agents and running it through the tests that they have their analysts do when they come in from Wharton or Drexel or wherever the hell they're coming from, right? And they came to the conclusion that AI agents are about as good as a really poor investment banking analyst. So that gives you a
Okay.
pretty good idea. It tells you that it is smart. It can do some incredible
Okay.
things. But all this stuff about, oh, OpenAI will give you access to a free PhD, or, Grok will solve all the legal and accounting problems. There won't be lawyers or accountants anymore. It's a lie. It's at best it's a marketing gimmick, which I think you mentioned. It's made me highly suspicious of the valuation that these companies have. Like, for example, right now, if we break down the valuation points, right? OpenAI just closed a $122 billion round in March. I think it was like a Series G or something like that.
Mhm.
That brought their post-money valuation to $852 billion for the company. Do I think that OpenAI is worth that? No. Especially since their revenue sucks. For a company of that valuation, they're not even close to where they should be. Anthropic's a little bit more reasonable. They raised $30 billion in February, I think also in a Series G, for a post-money valuation of $380 billion. Their revenue is a little bit higher. However, one of the things that my friends in VC would tell me, and I'm going to share because it is true, is for these early companies, revenue isn't everything. And it's why personally I believe that if you have a niche model like Claude, who is focused pretty much entirely on code, they deserve that valuation. Because, like I was telling James in our last podcast episode, from what we have now, and we can only work with the information we have, they are going to be the backbone infrastructure for the dark shop future of software development, which is extremely valuable to enterprises. If you go to an enterprise and say, oh my gosh, I don't need to hire 10,000 junior developers that just do nothing but junk volume, I can hire maybe a third of that. That's big. That's big. Personally, I think OpenAI is going to have a down round, and we already have proof of that. If you look at certain IPO or pre-IPO trading platforms like Jupiter pre-IPO, or other pre-IPO tradings platforms, right now, these pre-IPO trading sessions have raised Anthropic's valuation to $1 trillion, blowing past OpenAI. If I remember correctly, the first bid price, so the first price that Anthropic was taking to investment bankers to tell them, hey, this is what we're trying to get, was I think 600 billion. Maybe it was 800. I think it was 800. Because I remember talking to James about it going, I could see them getting a $200 billion increase in their value at IPO. Right now, they blew way past that, and they blew past OpenAI as well. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm not bearish on AI, but I am skeptical. I'm very skeptical because we've been sold a lot of smoke and mirrors about this that I don't think can actually be backed up with evidence.
Mhm.
Um, I personally, and I've felt this way for a couple weeks now. I think OpenAI is going to have a very disappointing IPO, or at the very least, a very disappointing roadshow when they go around to these investors and try to syndicate it. Um, Anthropic will do well, in my opinion. I haven't finished my analysis to know for sure, but my gut feeling right now is Anthropic will do well because it goes back to what you were saying is Anthropic selling a product that helps people be better at their job. Claude Code helps software developers develop more software quicker and better software.
Yeah.
OpenAI can't even figure out what the hell they're trying to sell.
Mhm. They have all sorts of products. Okay, they
Right.
have general purpose products. They have codecs for their coding code editor. They have their GPT model. I believe it's like OpenAI will uh, will bring will bring his will bring their app store someday in future, because the amount of apps that has been made in the past few months using AI is a lot of apps. So I believe I strongly believe that they will bring some app store kind of thing where they will be they will be charging commissions, and that will be their source of revenue. I'm speaking this one. I remembered one video where Sam Altman was saying he was in some kind of conference or some on the stage, and he said, yeah, he said when they were going for investment for asking when they sorry yeah. So he was saying when they were going to ask for investment, and when the investor asked them, how are you going to monetize it? He told them that we don't know. Once we build it, we will ask it, how can I monetize you? Yeah. So that's my. I also haven't been. Uh, I also don't know what's going right now in the market when
Mhm.
it comes to valuation. But yeah, OpenAI started this way.
Yeah, and I guess to be fair, what for people at home, what I'm saying, I don't see OpenAI as disappearing. I would be shocked if it disappeared.
Mm,
Um, I'm I'm having a hard time seeing what their future revenue story looks like because, and that is an old clip, but it is something that they believed for most of their existence as an organization is like, oh, once AGI shows up, which they're always saying is just after the next release. Um, I know I've said that in the software world. It's like, oh, we're only a release away from something that's really cool, but
mm,
it's always right around the corner and it's never here. Um, I am shocked. I'll have to be honest, Manis. I'm shocked that their CFO, who comes from a fintech background, has not really put her foot down on this and
mm,
gone, we need to start making money and not bleeding through investor funds. Um, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that that hasn't, what's it called? I'm just shocked that they haven't had that conversation, at least in a public enough way, or we heard about it. Maybe they have. And they do have, they're running advertising now. So there are some things that they're doing that will help them make money. Right now, their future looks very dubious, I think is the best way to describe it. It looks suspicious right now that their valuation is merited based on their plans. But I am with you. OpenAI they're not dead in the water. They're going to have some cards that they can play. Do I know what those are right now? No. But
no.
um let's switch over to this really quick. Um, let's talk because we talked about funding a little bit already, but where do you see this going in terms of who's going to own it? Who's going to power these new AI companies that come online? And obviously, the funding, at least what we hope, is it's coming from smaller VC funds that start popping up all over the place. But walk me through where do you see this going over the next 5 years, next 10 years, in the terms of like solopreneurship and these new companies that start showing up?
Uh, so, to be honest, I don't know
Okay,
because nobody can predict the future.
for sure.
And when it comes to valuation, the not coming to valuation, but when it comes to the whole AI game, the big players uh, will be at the top of this game because um, everything needs capital nowadays. Because everyone has the idea. Everyone everyone can execute if they think they wa- if they think to execute, they will find some of them. But who has the capital? He can build a team who wants to build that team. So for me, it's the big player like Nvidia, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Meta. Um, so they are, and I have read one article or I have read some piece of content where it was saying that these players are rotating the money in themselves only. Means OpenAI is buying chips from Nvidia. Nvidia is giving up their GPUs to some other company. Gemini means Google is taking his that company services. Means the big players all are collaborating at the top.
Yes.
Nobody is yeah. So nobody is competing at top. They are all collaborating, and they have just because they have got so much funding for this, they can't fail. They they can't afford to be failed. So they are trying their level best to create this fear, we say, or to spread to create this mindset in people who don't know what's coming next. Because few months back, or at least a year back, the AGI thing was so much in trend. But now everyone knows that AGI is not happening soon enough. So I I believe the big players will own the game. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think about this?
It's hard to tell because it is kind of joke going around that it's the same $100 billion passing between 10 companies over and over again.
Mhm,
Um, my default is democratization always. Because sure, um, I don't see that being a. I see it as being a possible future. I don't think it will be the most possible. It's more likely in my head that we get something closer to social media or e-commerce
mhm,
where there are enough platforms out there where no one or two platforms can control the game and their margins quickly become competitive.
mhm,
Probably. I mean, even though, I understand that people get mad at like Facebook or Instagram because they're like, oh, your price went up for X, Y, or Z thing. Um, that's the software game. That's how all software companies behave. I think it's far more likely where we're going to see a little bit of democratization of products as these things start rolling out. you're going to see a lot of competition for stuff that maybe in the past was. I'll say this: one thing we can probably expect, in my opinion, is we'll start to see over time the prices for knowledge work start to come down. I think that's a fairly reasonable take. Whenever I hear whenever I hear some for people who are smarter than me talk about it, I think that's fair. Where as AI starts to do some of the grunt work, prices for things like legal work, consulting work, some of that stuff AI can just do. So that's going to bring the price down for sure, but I don't think it's going to go away. Do I see? Again, I'm a little bit skeptical right now of any of the big SaaS companies we have right now, the Facebooks, the Metas, the Amazons, really becoming a heavy hitter here because I don't know, they all just seem to have this strange, how do I describe it? Aside from the fact that this just seems like human nature, um, you have this strange effect where all these things they did to be efficient aren't playing out. Like I remember I read an article the other day, it was yesterday, where Meta started implementing this system where they wanted all their software developers to use as many tokens as possible because in their mind, like that means you're being more effective. And instead, what happened is because they made it a competition for which software developer can use the most tokens. It just turned into a big old mess where everyone was just using tokens for no reason. And I see that being a possibility here. And it's the danger, honestly, of using what I like to call what I like to call what is described as the doorman fallacy to make decisions, which is narrow a job down to something that can very easily be automated and that solves your problem. It never does. I think we're going to see a lot of infighting and a lot of inefficiency until the whole valuation AI hype starts to shake out. Once it starts to mature, like always, the big players will still be around. They'll have some sway. They'll have some market sway. But overall, I'm rambling. But overall, I see it being very competitive and very commoditized very, very quickly. The same way that internet services are. You know, to your point, look at website development work. You'd be hard pressed to find someone who can do website development for like more than $500, an hour, we could say, just because it's so commoditized. We are running out of time and I don't want to keep you, especially because it's late for you. Let's close. Let's close with this just because we talked about this on our last phone call and I said we would. Let's toss a little philosophy in here because I think it's fun. I think we both have some very good points on this. I wanted to share just two statistics I found from Equimundo's State of American Men study last year. So in this study, and they were just asking men questions about their mental health, their beliefs, etc. 53% of men agree that no one really understands them, which gives this idea that it's a widespread isolation, this belief that no one knows what they're going through. And in the same report, men facing financial strain were 16 times as likely to report suicidal thoughts and adherence to what's called the man box, which is this like group of ideas around how a man should be. They were basically 6.3 times more likely to report suicidal ideations, so suicidal thoughts and actions, than the average person. These are connected to something that we were talking about called the red pill, black pill movement. To break it down for people who don't know what that is, the red pill, black pill movement is a movement among young men, especially in modernized countries like the US, like the UK, etc., um, who believe that men are supposed to act a certain way, which I agree with, but the way that they're supposed to act is very skewed to a certain stereotype. It's this idea that men should be like stoic and aggressive and should have a whole bunch of sexual partners and be grinding all the time, that they have to have a perfect body. Is kind of, it's a group where this is what people believe. And it, if the further you go down that rabbit hole, the darker it gets. Um, let's hop into that really quick. Um, Manus, why do you think these this ideology is taking such a deep root even still? Sounds like your friends experienced this. I had friends who talked about it. I read into some of their stuff. So walk me through your thoughts on this. Why is it such a big deal now? What's causing it? All that good stuff.
So this red pill, blue pill thing, I think this comes from the Andrew Tate movement. You know, when he took over social media, saying men should be like this, men should be like that, men should not be like this, and should not be like that. So, and I do believe men don't have anyone to talk to share their problems. They have few friends, but uh, nobody can understand them because I believe being a boy and you being a boy also. You are younger than. Uh, we are crazy. We are crazy creatures. We don't think much about anything. We don't. We don't go into anything emotional. We the our mm, how can I say this? Our basic sense is to survive and to make the survival easier. So when this comes to this red pill and blue pill moment, uh, I don't believe there are such kind of it. It's just a term coined by the market only, and people like to go. Someone call it looks maxing. In Gen Z, it calls looks maxing, where they do this, try to make their jawline, they will build their fit. It's good to be healthy. I'm not saying you don't have to do this. If if that calms your mind, if that makes you feel good, everyone should do that because everyone loves to look good. Everyone loves to eat healthy. They have to do this. But sorry, I forgot your question. I got into some other thoughts.
No, you're
Can you please
good. And I think maybe you answered this already, saying it was like a marketing pitch from the Andrew Tate figures. Um, is what caused this movement of, very, and you listen to these guys, they always say traditional male values, which is complete bullshit. I'm sorry, but yes, do you have to be a provider? In my personal worldview, yes, you have to be a provider. Yes, you should be able to support your partner and support your children. And
mm,
yes, you should be strong and you should be adaptable. You should be resourceful. But this idea of this like machismo energy is bullshit. And part of it, I would agree with you on part of it, where, if we're talking about where did this come from, I would think the figures like Andrew Tate are a big reason of how we got here.
mm,
Is there an issue with masculinity in this world? I would argue that there is. I would argue that there is. And I think there's some very powerful forces in this world that are trying to perpetuate the death of masculinity.
Mhm.
You don't want to be any part of what those forces are offering. Um, and to your point, I would actually agree with you too, where I think by and large, a lot of men believe that they don't have anywhere to go to deal with their emotional pain, we'll call it, to deal with the stress of the world. We did, our parents and our ancestors did. It was called going to the bar or going to the pub or going and having a barbecue on Sunday or, going hunting or whatever, right? You had these like male activities that would just happen. And it's where men would bond. It's where they would blow off steam and get rid of whatever emotional or mental baggage that they had. Our generation, I think we talked about how we're pretty close in age. We don't do that anymore, by and large. Heck, even like looking back now, I'm a big outdoorsy guy. I love to camp. Not really a fan of bars. I went into one with my wife and brother-in-law in Washington D.C. after a really long day, and I wanted to leave. It was too much noise. I didn't want anything to do with it. Um, so that does happen a little bit, but we're seeing this really interesting trend where, by and large, our generation has kind of given up on that. And I think personally, it led to exactly what you were saying, where now we have these figures who are purporting a certain way to live, a certain belief system. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, I want to be that because it looks attractive.
Mhm.
So, what color is your Bugatti hanging out on yachts with really pretty women? It all looks super fun. I
It looks
understand that.
super fun.
But also look at the results.
Mhm.
I don't think we talked about this, but I wanted to share it because I'm curious to hear your opinion. There was this meme going around for a minute. Young black kid, I think he's in his young 20s. And obviously, I'll say this: my disclaimer, my opinion on this has changed. I've been married for 5 years. I'm going to be a father. Like the way I look at the world has definitely shifted. Um, but this young kid, and he goes by Sneeko on the internet. He's an influencer, black pill type.
Mhm.
He was getting in an argument with another pretty famous YouTube personality called Moist Critical, and they were arguing over what it means to be a man. And Moist Critical had made a comment because Sneeko was attacked, basically attacking him, saying like, "Oh, you're not a man. Just like look at what you believe, etc." Right? And so Moist Critical was like, "Dude, go look at the clips that I've made, and you know exactly what I believe." And Sneeko got really upset at it and started waving like two Glocks around, like two handguns, saying, "Oh, look at my clips," right? As in the magazine that was in his weapon. You know,
Mhm.
like look at my clips, look at these clips. And it was so funny because Moist Critical is a proud gun owner.
Mhm.
I even think
And
he,
they talked on stream. This happened on their stream, right?
yeah,
I think I have
yeah,
watched it. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
exactly. And then,
He calls this is the Mac. You dumb, like
yeah,
something like
exactly.
this.
He's like, you absolute fool. It's not called a clip, it's called a magazine.
It's the Mac. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so bizarre, Manus. And I'm curious to hear because you talked about some experience that your friends had with this.
So,
It's so bizarre because it's brainwashed like our entire generation of young men. Not so much, and again, I think every good brainwashing has some truth to it.
uh,
Obviously I'm Christian, so this might not land with everybody, but the reason why the devil's lies come across as so tempting is because there's some truth in them. And I think there's truth in what these guys say. But so much of it is such a warped worldview. So why don't you share your thoughts on that? Tell me as we're kind of closing out here, like what's been your experience with that? Because I think we really resonated on this together. Walk me through kind of what your experience has been.
so my experience with such kind of content is not that good because I have some of the friends who tried and to take courses. and they tried to be like him, what color is your Bugatti and all, but they failed. And I guess, I think I told you this in our last one. But to summarize it, my my experience with this, the masculinity term, is not good because everyone has their own opinion. Everyone has their different lives. Everyone have their bias. So if you want to cry, cry. If you don't want to cry, don't cry. Who is stopping you? Nobody is forcing you. Nobody is saying you have to cry. If if I don't feel safe sharing some of my problem with anyone, why should I share my problem? It's up to me. And uh, before men, we are humans. Everyone has the role in the society. Women have their roles, men have their roles. Uh, we can't generalize this thing. Everyone has different situation. Everyone has to feed different kind of people. So everyone is doing great according to them, and they are, because as Peter Hauser said, is the the psychology of money guy. Sorry about what that author's name I forget. Morgan Housel. Yeah. So as Morgan Housel say in Psychology of Money, nobody is crazy. Everyone is doing their best, and everyone is trying to figure out love because it's it is everyone's first time on this planet Earth. Everyone is trying to figure out things. So no, we don't have to judge somebody based on how he is looking, how he is not looking. If someone is obese, there's a difference between being fat and being obese. If someone is obese, we have the right to tell him. If he or she is our close friend, we have our rights to tell him that you should reduce little weight. We are not body shaming. We are telling for betterment of their health. So you will look good. You will have less diseases and all. So I don't give shit about this black pill, blue pill, black pill thing. If this it comes to my feet, I just swipe. I have my own opinions, and I truly believe that the more we look at this world with open mind, we will have different perspective about new things, perspective about same things in new ways. Yeah,
I think that's a great way to end it off.
yeah.
I forgot
It
about that
was
clip.
it was little philosophical, you know.
No, no, it was good. Nobody's crazy. I like that.
Mm,
This is everyone's trial run of Earth. That was very, very good. Manus, why don't we close out with just one more question? Just quick fire round. Um,
yeah.
when it comes to what you're seeing about AI and about what you write about, what's been overhyped recently and what hasn't been hyped enough?
When it comes to overhyping, I think it's prompt engineering, and something that hasn't been hyped enough is AI adaptability. Because prompt engineering is nothing but writing, asking for what we need. And that's how human beings are navigating through life. When I was kid, if I need a chocolate from my father, I go and ask, I want this Kit Kat. If I want some other chocolate, I will name that chocolate. So my father will give me that. It's as simple as that. Whatever you want, how you want it, and in which type you want it. It's just that simple. You don't have to be that. You don't have to do that 6 hour long prompt engineering course. You don't have to do anything. Prompt engineering just writing our thoughts to the chatbot and asking what we need. If you don't know how to work with Claude Code, yeah, or a Claude scale, you don't know how to set up this thing, you don't know how to set up, just ask any chatbot. All are almost similar. there are nothing much difference between them. When it comes to general purpose uses, every chatbot is almost similar. It's it is difficult when it comes to specific because Claude has its own strength, Gemini has its own, Higgsfield has its own, Grok has its own strength. So is that so? I think AI means prompt engineering is overhyped. You don't have to do that so much courses. You just need one framework. What, how, and why you need that thing. Just talk with it. In when we practice that in two three iterations, we will get the desired output we are looking for. And AI adaptability is not overhyped because everyone should learn how to use AI. Maybe it's basic to basic how to ask the recipe of making a chicken. You have to know how these things work, how this app works, what is the new thing in AI. There's a very good website. There is an AI for that.com. It gives it has so many AI tools for different users, and the new tools also come to it. So yeah, AI for prompt engineering is overhyped, and AI adaptability is less hyped.
Perfect. Well, Manus Moon, everybody, thank you so much for hopping on this podcast at close to midnight your time or after. Um, if you want to go check out his work on Substack, Codex AI. You can also find him Manus Moon on LinkedIn. Any other places where people can find you, Manus, before we end things out?
Everyone who is watching me, you can find me everywhere on each social media platform. I have the same username, Manas V Moon, MANASVMOON. That's my username for Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Substack, everything.
Okay.
And yeah, I generally prefer Substack because I am usually active here, so I can reply to them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, sweet Manus, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Yeah.
Everyone
Thank you
else,
for having me.
yeah. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys later. Bye now, everybody.
Bye.